The relocation of the Department of Banking Supervision and the Federal Airport Authority of Nigeria to Lagos has not been met with positive feedback from many quarters. However, we have also heard from the presidency where they have given reasons for this relocation, stating issues around operational issues, saying that this department will operate better from Lagos. And we are wondering just what or how much of an impact this decision will have on the economy of Nigeria, how much of an economic impact this will have, if any. Well, joining me to discuss this now is a professor of strategic management and human capital development, Professor Okey Ikechukwu. Thank you, Prof, for joining us on the program.
Thank you very much.
Okay, let us start off with your perception of this decision. Of course, there's been a lot of, conversations regarding it. Unfortunately, most people have politicized this decision by the federal government. But let's hear from you. You are someone who is vast in the area of strategic management. And the government has come out to say that this is strategic. This department will work better in Lagos. But let's hear from you. What are your thoughts on that?
The decision is strategic for a simple reason. If you're doing a business, there are questions you ask yourself. What steps do I take to ensure greater efficiency, greater administrative effectiveness, and then good bottom line? The supervisory function is not one for which you need to be resident. Interface in banking operation is not space determined. So if I'm servicing TV stations all over Nigeria, my business is to do, compliance monitoring to come and see whether your studios are in the right place. I can fly in from Niger every time I need to do that. And I can also be in Abuja. And it will make more sense if there are 20 TV stations in Abuja and 3 in Niger for me to be in Abuja, especially if I have a facility. Now look at the context of it. Let's do simple civil engineering and space management. The CBN office is built to accommodate about 4,200 or 300 and something people. 2,700 people. As we speak, and before that decision, the total number of staff there was 4,200 or 300 and something. Now ask yourself, just simple logic of space management. There are conveniences in the hotel, in the place. Do you get it? The elevator also, first, is overcrowded. Second, there is no political element that you'll see in this except from the angle of those who think that the special location of institutions of state translates into advantages for that section of the country. That's, first of all, a fundamental misunderstanding. If anybody wants to complain really about special location and the disadvantages being suffered by anybody, we'll ask ourselves, how many military formations and installations are in the north? Is it benefiting security in the north? Is that not where the bulk of the kidnapping and the rest of it is going on? So first, I think it's a strategic decision for greater efficiency. I think that the fact that this is not that the CBN woke up last week or 2 weeks ago and started building new offices. There are offices that are underpopulated, that offer services that are needed more in the places where they are. And therefore, the expansion and elimination of the space is perfectly in order. If you want to even bring it to the political, I would want to argue, for instance, the Federal Secretariat is overcrowded. That's why you have the presidency, the judiciary, the National Assembly, defense, name it. Imagine that the Secretariat, part of it is in Gwagwalada, part of it is in Buare, all over Abuja, part in Nyanya. First, you're going to be developing those places because they become extensions. Now, that's how development happens. What has happened is I have a small space in Abuja called the capital. Those other satellite towns are turning into ghettos because there are no activities. So we converge here with a lot of trouble in traffic and disperse every morning. In summary, it was a good decision. The political argument does not hold water because, basically, this is the age of technology. So what technology can do for you, you don't need any physical presence to be there.
I'll take you from that point in technology, because when you hear of this relocation, one thing that comes to mind is the fact as to how much of a global village the world has become. I mean, there are people here in Nigeria who have jobs in China, who have jobs in, in America, and don't necessarily have to be on the ground to get the job going. But we also have to understand that a certain department from the CBN was relocated, and that is the Department of Banking Supervision. And if we look at what the department does, is a supervisory function that is charged with the responsibility of ensuring the safety and soundness of the banking system as a whole. And being the fact that we have most banks headquartered in Lagos, except for, I believe, Jais Bank, how then do you think this relocation of this department specifically would affect the banking system as a whole?
I think it will lead to greater efficiency. It will lead to greater online real-time monitoring. Above all, it will significantly reduce the overhead of the CBN. We're endangering people going up and down. The place you need to supervise is in a particular location. You have an office there where part of the space is not occupied. Please move in there. It's as simple as that. You're a counselor in a secondary school. You need to do counseling, a job with most of the children. And then the office is far away from the children, which doesn't give you a chance. But anyway, all of that is not entirely relevant to this. But the point I'm making being, it will drive efficiency. It will lead to, quicker intervention times. Of course, if two of us are among the people who travel to Lagos with a lot of allowances for these supervisory roles, and they now move on to Lagos, I'm not sure we'll be very happy about it. If two of us are individuals who have used whatever means we can because we are politicians or prominent Nigerians, and we've gotten our children to get jobs in these choice places, and they have to be in Abuja, we won't like it. If we're also people who think that the location of an institution of state is indicative of political advantage and dominance, we also won't like it. And that's why looking at some of the responses, I believe, I may be mistaken, but my position is that many of the responses are uninformed and misguided, and largely, unfortunately, revolving around the assumption that, if you move it there, you're moving the federal capital. Look at South Africa. The president is 4,000 and something miles away from the Supreme Court. The Supreme Court is every 300 and something miles away from the Constitutional Court. This is not the day. Before, if you wanted to make contact, if I had wanted to make contact with my mom, and this is 1983, I'll either write a letter, or today that occurs in minutes. So we can't pretend we are not living in today's world. What those reactions have actually portrayed, some of them, those who are very angry about it from the ethnic and political angle, is that it shows that the thinking at that level is politically immature, not in tandem with contemporary realities. I mean, why would elders, I don't want to be so, but some who have come out to speak, in fact, from one of the states that's the most harassed by bandits. At the time, one of the most traditional rulers in that state was picked up. We didn't hear them. With the poverty in the place, we didn't hear them. With the constant ongoing about kidnapping, we didn't hear them. Then all of a sudden is our central bank. What has that got to do with Katsina State elders? So you see that the younger generation, one of the most critical dangers facing the youth, and Gen Zs in Nigeria today is the older generation. Because their warped thinking, their archaic perception of what we need to do as a country keeps undermining even the young ones who are a little open to a more tolerant disposition to the Nigerian reality. I believe the reactions are misguided. I believe the outbursts, even going to the point of saying, you've moved it there, we're angry. Okay, when it comes to election, we'll not vote for you. We know where the votes are. Really? That should take precedence over the future of this country? What evidence is there that the relocation translates into disadvantage for anybody whosoever? So leadership at the level of elite interventions, with all due respect to those who hold a different view, is degenerating progressively, and that's not good for our country.
Okay, Prof, what are your thoughts on the idea of decentralizing power? Because there's been a lot of conversations around that since this news came out, decentralizing power for equitable governance and development. There are also conversations around, moving departments or agencies of government that have to do with oil and gas to areas in the South, such as Port Harcourt, Warri, Calabar, and the likes. I mean, are you, or do you share this sentiment?
No, for a decision like that to be taken, there must be justification for it. So even if I share the sentiment, I must justify it. Now, the question is if businesses look for where they can do well and make money. They are not charitable organizations. So if I have an oil company Access to the crude I use is is better in the south. My logistics, my overall cost is about 20% of what it will cost me to be in Abuja or in Kwara, in Lorry or whatever. I would prefer to be in Port Harcourt. But don't forget that Port Harcourt has to also be conducive. You and I know that at a point, I think some 5-6 years ago, most of the oil companies began to relocate from Port Harcourt because of insecurity. So it can't be an arbitrary decision. Oh, will it be nice? Yes, it might cost me more, but if I discover that I'm safer not staying there, I will not be there. But today's Port Harcourt is safer, and I believe if I'm running a business and not talking politics, I will go to where my, overall costs will be less. But to make it a policy that it must be there, that will again excite more of politics than economics. I want to set up a cement factory. Why is Dangote Cement not in Dangote's town instead of, why is it in Abajana, in Kwara? Because that's where the, that's where the raw material is. Why did we in the past have Nkalago Cement in the present Ebonyi State? Because Nkalago has limestone deposits. So those are the considerations that will advise it. The nation might need to do a comprehensive recalibration away from the conception of a centralized power, and the security implications need to be clear to everybody. You have the 3 ANZ zones. I don't know, it's unfortunate it was actually constructed during the period of military regime. National security. Listen, the distance between the president's house where he lives and DSS headquarters is 750 meters. It's not up to 1 kilometer. The same thing from the Aso Rock to National Assembly. Within the same proximity, you have the Supreme Court. That's the 3 arms of government. Now, a little away from there, just across the road, you have all the ministries of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. You go to your left, that's police headquarters. You move 2 kilometers almost, you get the Central Bank of Nigeria. Then you have NNPC towers, and you have, what's the other one, Area 11, where all the military established.
Defense headquarters, all within the same proximity.
All within a radius of 2.5 to 3,000 kilometers, to 3 kilometers. That's a harvest for any mischief maker. That's not the kind of thinking that should be happening today. 9/11 should have been our warning. 9/11, you had all the 3 within contiguous space. Their plan was to take them out simultaneously. Unfortunately, 2 of the 2 planes didn't deliver. Our own space is so tiny and so small. And if you think about it, is that place really guarded? Then Eagle Square is next to it. And Eagle Square is where we have our national events. Eagle Square is faced by more than 120 windows. That's a security nightmare.
Okay, Prof, you've touched on security. And in my research, I did see some people who are of the opinion that this decision by the government just might send a negative signals to foreign investors who might think that the Federal Capital Territory is not as safe due to the fact that we are starting to move agencies of government and departments to Lagos. Do you agree with these people who hold that opinion? And if you don't, what is your advice regarding, because you have spoken about security?
Yes, I hold the opposite view actually. If I'm a foreign investor, it will assure me, it will reassure me. The fine airport, the airport is in Lagos. The business capital is Lagos. Now, you say he's giving signals. The signals are not coming from government. Bandits have taken over Abuja completely. So this will even be proof of sensitivity. First, realism that, look, these things don't have to be here. Secondly, what you call economies of scale and gains from the decisions would be good. So if you're talking security, and I'm a foreign investor, and I'm coming into Nigeria, I'm in the banking sector, and the capital that ought to be safest is under pressure. Kidnapping will be a very unattractive business in Lagos, because if you capture somebody, how quickly can you run away in Lagos traffic? Do you get? These are the things to consider. And looking at, it's not a Bola Tinubu matter. Look, let's take, you remember the Kuje jailbreak? Now, from Kuje prisons to the house of the president then, President Buhari, that's about a 30-minute drive. No intervention, and that thing went on for more than 30 minutes. That's the federal capital, the headquarters where the commander-in-chief was living. And in the last 3 weeks alone, how much kidnapping has not been going on? Do you get it? So the illusion, and this time estates that are deemed to be impregnable, including military estates, are being taken out. A foreigner coming in will be convinced that it is unsafe. And the reason is simple. If you think you'll be safe in Mechama, look at the size of your house in Mechama. Somebody follows you as you're driving in, and the gate is closed. He can operate for 3 hours. When he finishes, he goes. There's the illusion of security among the elite. Okay, you're living in an estate. The estate has 43 duplexes. Fantastic. And you have security at the gate. Now, what's the training of your security men at the gate? They have uniform. They have a button. They can open the gate. That's all. There's no security. Then you say, well, you know, the estate is fenced. 8-inch block. If you blows on that block, you make a space to come in. And the total population, let's suppose each of the houses has 6 people, multiply 6 by 45, 6 criminals can operate there. So the right conception of security, not space and settlement, does not exist with those who are talking. Now, where is it that you'll be driving as somebody, either in a convoy or in a fine-looking car, and you'll be blocked, kidnapped, or shot at? If you survive there, you're kidnapped. It's here. It's up north. Yeah. Why is Kaduna Airport not operational? These are the things to consider. Kaduna-Abuja Road, what should ordinarily be a 2-hour drive, apart from the bad road matter, has become an industry where criminality thrives. So these are the things. I think we need to move from regional thinking to statesmanship. We must have a country before we can protect our respective ethnic, regional, political, religious interests. Indeed. Unfortunately, when that is not put on the table, we focus on politicizing fundamentally economic and strategic decisions that will make for greater national cohesion. Indeed.
Professor Okey Ikechukwu, who is a professor of strategic management and human capital development, and he's spoken extensively on the economic implications of the move of CBN Department for Banking Supervision and FAAN offices to Lagos. Thank you, Prof, for joining us on the program today.
Thank you.
Unfortunately, our time is fast spent, but here we will draw the curtains for today's edition of the program, Business Daily. Join the conversation on social media. Let's hear your thoughts. Are you for or against this move by the federal government? And there is the point where we say our goodbyes. My name is Chiamaka Enendu. Thank you for watching, and bye for now.